Hello, you lovely, lovely people, and welcome back again. Today I'm going to talk about fishing in the Philippines and the equipment that they use compared to what we would use back home regarding engines, their boats, how they make their boats, and their way of fishing, which is very productive. You know, they've been fishing for thousands of years and they have produced some brilliant techniques. You know, when I go fishing here, when I first came and went fishing with all my fishing equipment, they were like, and they were laughing. And, you know, because it's something that they don't ever use. They just use nylon on a bit of bamboo, not as a fishing pole. When they in sea, they have it's like a cotton reel, but a big cotton reel. And it's just loads of nylon tied around it with sinkers and lots of hooks and feathers. And they have these little banker boats, which I've got one as well. And I'll, you know, at the beginning of this video, uh, you know, you'll have seen my boat. And they're just like that. And some are a lot smaller as well. And they just go out and really far. I mean, I'm not a boatman. I've never been a boatman. I like fishing onshore, offshore, but I've never had a boat in the UK, never. Uh, and when I come here, I got with the angling club, and actually I come second place in the angling club here, which I will put that picture on as well of me getting the prize. Um, and you know, it got me into their way of fishing. Although I don't use their bobbing style of fishing, where they just drop their line straight down. Because when you do that, you have to be able to control the boat because they don't use anchors here. So the line's got to be directly straight down. It's got to be vertical. If not vertical, you won't feel the bite and you miss the fish. So they have this way with a paddle, and they just paddle it round like this in a circle, and they can keep the boat almost perfectly where it is in tide, in wind. They are very, very clever people. So anyway, this engine that I've got here, it's a 200cc GX Honda engine. And these Honda engines are used in many, many different appliances. Like they use them as their log splitters and jet washers and things like that. But they use these on their boats because they're very reliable and they just don't seem to break down. There's nothing to go wrong. And they kind of install these in the boat, which mine's been installed in my boat, but I brought it back to clean it and get it all prepared. There's a new carburetor on there, there's a new ignition coil, a new pull start, a new plastic fuel tank, which I would recommend if you're going to go and fish here in one of these banker boats in the Philippines, and you do buy a boat, make sure you buy it, change the tank, because the tanks are metal, and the metal here, because it's the salt, you know, the spray of the ocean, they rot, and before you know it, it's even rotten on the inside. Even a good Honda tank will rot on the inside. I don't know how, but they do. And then you get the tiny little particles blocking your carburetor, and then you're out in the middle of the ocean, your boat won't start. That's the scary thing. It's never happened to me. I shouldn't say that. Touch wood. I hope it never does. But I do maintain my engine frequently. After every couple of outings, I bring it back, clean the carburetor, change the fuel, things like that. Because it's very important, guys. You know, you don't get no second chances when you're out at sea, do you? But anyway, getting back to this kind of fishing here, I've never seen any other expats, and I'm trying to get the sun out of my eyes. I think I'll go around here, but I'll show the engine first. Look, very basic Honda engine. It's a 200cc. I think it's a 6.5 horsepower. It's not like your outboards back home, and the boards here are not like your aluminium or your fiberglass boards back home. Here they made of what they call marine ply, and it's only 1/4 inch, but they're very strong the way they build them here, and very cheap. You can buy a boat out here the same size as mine, which is I think 17 feet, 18 feet I think, by 18 inches wide, and I think it's 18 inches high, but they have the stabilizers on them, you know, the bamboo stabilizers, outriggers. And I've been out on my boat with the guy who was teaching me how to control these kind of boats in the Philippines. And I was absolutely shocked at the conditions that they go out in these little boats, and they stable as anything. Obviously, you've got to know what you're doing. Otherwise, you will come unstuck very rapidly. And I was learning for about 8 months with this one guy that I used to go fishing with all the time. His name is Duo. Been a boatman all of his life. His father was a boatman. He lives on the beach. And these are the guys who you need to learn from. You do need to learn from these guys. Don't simply get a boat and think it's like going back home, because it's not. It's different. The boats here are much smaller. They are very rocky but very stable. And very enjoyable as well. But the way of fishing here, many people think catching a fish is catching a fish. It is, in essence. But here, I was bringing and using all the same baits as what I was when I was back home, like squid, crab, things like this. And I didn't even get any bites. And the fishermen were laughing at me. And they said, you won't get bites with that, using squid. And I'm thinking, well, fish are fish. If the fish are hungry, they will eat. I've never caught fish on squid here, never. Back home, many anglers swear by squid. It's a good all-round bait. And here, there is the similar thing to ragworm and lugworm, which they dig off the bit. Well, they don't dig it, they just get a bit of sardines. They marinate this thing in salt for about 4 days, like a kilo of sardines. And then it becomes this liquid, and it's called ginamos in the Philippines. And they just put that on the beach when the tide is right, when the water is, and they come out and they just pick them out. They're great for any kind of fish here. Shrimp, back home, great bait for fishing. Here, I've had some luck on it. But what I found here, and the experience that I've learned from watching the other Filipino fishermen on their boats, is tuloy, sardines. They say sardines is the best all-round bait here. And in my experience, it's true. You will always catch something on sardines here, always catch something. And a lot of my followers who are interested in fishing, they said to me, well, what kind of fish is here? All kinds. The fish, the Pacific, so it's the fish that are there in Australia. You're basically here. Different parts of the Philippines, obviously, is different quantities of fish. Where I am on the island of Mindanao, there is, I don't think there is a sailfish here, but you go further up to the north of the Philippines, Palawan, it's known there for sailfish, marlin and things like that. Here you get trevally, you get many Spanish mackerel, they call it tinigi. There's many grouper here, many cod, not the cod in England of course, but here grouper, they call it lapu-lapu. Many snappers, many snappers here. And what I would advise, if you do want to get into fishing in the Philippines, being an expat, go out with the locals, because they will teach you more than what you've ever known in your own country, how to fish here, because it is totally different here. And that experience that you will gain by watching them fish is invaluable, because you will fish here thinking, why am I getting no bites? I'm using the same setup, I'm using the same rigs, I'm using the same baits and the same hooks, but I'm not getting any even bites. Even to this day, I can't explain it. But every time that I use what they use, I catch fish. On the odd occasion, I've caught fish using my techniques, but it's far few and in between. So, when in Rome, you've got to take notice of these experienced fishermen. Now, you can buy a boat here, like mine. When they sell a second-hand boat here, it normally comes with a cheap Chinese engine. They use Yamaha, Sumo, and a few of the Chinese brands, which apparently are quite reliable, but it's just me, I would rather have a Honda. because I just know that they are reliable. You know, the bores are very solid, the piston rings are good, you know, the bores are hard, not like a Chinese cylinder bore where they're very soft. And you can buy one the same size as mine, second hand, for about 25,000 pesos. That's nothing, is it? Or you can buy a new one, the same size as mine, for about 50,000 pesos. Now, some of these boats that they use here, these second-hand ones, they're 15, 20 years old. And they just still look brand new because they paint them all the time, they sand them down, paint them. And they are very, very, very strong. When I went in my boat, I thought, dear God, it's only 1/4 inch ply. But, you know, it's what they use inside is the skeleton inside. And they use a wood here called a gemalina. And that wood is very, very hard. It's not water resistant, but then they cover everything with fiberglass. Not fiberglass. What do you call it? The two-part mix. The two-part epoxy. Everything is got like a, you know, they do it all, then everything is covered with epoxy. They scrape it on, sand it, scrape it on, and then at the end it's painted. Very, very strong indeed. And of course, here there isn't any like jetties or harbours where you can take your boat in and out. So what they do, they just lift the boats out of the water and put them on the beach. So you need something quite light, because my boat takes 4 people to lift it and put it in the water, which can be a bit inconvenient at times when I want to go fishing and I'm thinking, there are people going on the beach there that can help me put my boat in the water. But there always is. So you've got that to consider. And also the cost. It doesn't cost anything here to keep a boat. You know, you just talk to the people who live on the beach and they will take care of it. You give them a couple of quid and they will take care of your boat, no problem. I've never had any problems here with my boat. And my boat's been there 2.5, 3 years. And they even take care of it, you know. If there's like a storm, they will take it further up the beach away from the danger. And they are generally nice people. But again, you know, when you come here with that Western mindset on about getting a big boat with a big outrigger, yes, if you can do that, and if you've got the space to keep it, and you can find somewhere where you can actually launch it into the water, all well and good. But here where I am, there isn't those kind of facilities to do it. But as you know, this video is just like a selective video for people who like fishing. And soon I'll be out. It's going to rain again, it's got dark. But soon I will be out and I'll be back on the water. And I'll take someone with me so they can do the footage. And then I'm going to have to do the editing, because obviously if I'm there all day, you know, you only want like 15, 20, 30 minutes of fishing when I'm catching. If I'm catching. So there'll be a lot of editing on these videos, you know, when I do go fishing. But try and get one of these engines, people, if you are into it. And these engines are current now. You can buy these now. And these are about, for this size engine, this GX200 Honda, which is a 6.5 horsepower, I think they're about 18,000 pesos. And they will last you for years and years and years. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's reliability. The only thing with these engines, I find, they got a lot of compression, because the newer Honda engines, they have like a decompression. So when you pull it, it decompresses. You know, it slightly drops, or yeah, it drops a valve. So the compression isn't as hard to pull. This one is so high. It's difficult because this one's an older engine. It hasn't got that the decompression when you pull start it. But there's also a conversion for these as well, where you can put a starter motor on there and you know, like a regulator, alternator, battery, and key start, which I'm considering doing that. I think they're about 10,000 or 12,000 pesos. But you always keep your pull start as a backup, so that never comes off, that stays there. And these kits just bolt on. They are made for these. They just bolt on. So very, very simple to fit. Maybe 30 minutes and you've got like a little key start Honda engine on your board, which I'm definitely considering doing that, because I'm always worried in case this snaps when I'm pulling it. And I change this every 6 months. I change this pull start every 6 months because I'm scared. And I always take a spanner so I can take this off the pull start and I can wrap a bit of rope around the pulley and I can start it that way. Because you never know, people, you know, you've always got to expect, you know, the unexpected when you're out on the ocean, I think. But that's it, people. It's just a very, very short and basic video of the way they fish here. You know, when I do go fishing, the guy that will be with me, he's an experienced fisherman, and I will be doing probably a lot of footage of him fishing, and you can see how they fish, and he's very productive all the time. It's kind of like it's like a prehistoric way of fishing that they do, but they catch more than I do, and I've got all the equipment. It's because they are always holding the nylon in their hand when they drop it vertically, and they can feel anything. They feel the slightest little bite, even if they can feel it. If there's a shoal of fish swimming through and just touching the line, he said, "Oh, there's a shoal of fish touching the line. No bite? No," he said, "It's not a bite. It's the fish just touching the line." They're very clever. So that's it, guys. Anyway, thank you very much for watching and taking the time. And if you do like the video, stick around for the fishing videos when I do eventually get back out there next month. Thank you, guys. Have a lovely day, whatever you're doing, and stay safe. Thank you. Bye-bye.